Well, after North Korea launched a missile over Japan, President Donald Trump has warned all options are now on the table. The launch, supposedly a response to the ongoing joint U.S.-South Korean military exercises. President Trump has gone on to say that, quote, the world has received North Korea's latest message loud and clear. Donald Trump Jr. has also agreed to sit down for a transcribed interview with the Senate Judiciary Committee as lawmakers push to discuss Russians meddling in the presidential race. Then also, President Trump, I should say, does make a pledge to the people of Houston, a recovery never seen before. Here to talk all about these topics and then some, we welcome now political commentator and the owner of Retrovision Media, Lee Bines, and good to have you.
Good to be here.
First of all, definitely everybody's hearts, minds, and prayers goes out to Houston. Never have we ever seen the amount of rainfall that we've seen, upwards of more than 50 to 55 inches of rain in Houston, and the recovery efforts continue. The question that's on the table is, of course, you have the president that's saying that we're going to do everything that we can to help out the residents of Houston, but with all due respect to the people of Houston, politics is still politics in Washington, D.C. We know that when we had Hurricane Sandy here, it was very clear that there were some people, particularly in Texas, who weren't in favor of funding for Hurricane Sandy. Now Texas is hit. What are we going to see?
Well, you know what, we're pretty much going to be in for a fight overall in terms of how this issue is going to be resolved. Now, the president has come out and said that this is going to be the best and the quickest recovery that the country has ever experienced. But that's just the president bloviating as he usually does. The fact of the matter is that come after the Labor Day holiday, Texans, specifically in these affected areas, will not be having Texas barbecue. This is going to be a long haul for a long time, and it's going to take a lot of us getting together to make this happen. The problem with this is right now is that this issue has already been politicized because Governor Christie reminded the nation just yesterday, as a matter of fact, of how the Texas legislators and lawmakers reacted to the Sandy storm. Peter King out in New York, Republican also, from Long Island, also came up with the same, brought up the same issue, and they are kind of like setting the tone that there may be some pushback when it comes to the amount of money that they're going to lay out without an argument to repair some of this damages and bring these people's issues back to the front. But what I find interesting is that one of the only arguments that hasn't been made yet is the fact that the president pulled out of the Paris Climate Agreement. That was based upon the fact that climate change is a reality, not a Chinese hoax, and the fact that these storms are. I'm a man of science. I like to believe that science and technology has provided us enough evidence so far that the climate change is real, and the fact that the president seems to be going in the opposite direction belies the fact that these storms are getting stronger. They're sitting around for a longer time. They're causing a lot more damage, and the fact that people in Texas, few of them actually have flood insurance to protect themselves is one problem. It's going to be massive losses for a lot of people. A lot of these people are not going to be able to recover, but the fact of the matter is that these storms are coming with more frequency and more intensity is going to give insurance companies a pause on who they're going to cover in the first place.
Well, let me dial back for a second, go back to these politicians and say that what they said, the Texas lawmakers said, we were in favor of supporting Hurricane Sandy, but the problem was what was being attached to the bill. There was pork attached to the bill. Now, doing a careful study and analysis, there wasn't that much that was actually attached by way of pork after reading the numbers and seeing what it is. Do you feel as though Texas lawmakers and Houston will definitely suffer because of this?
Well, you know what a lot of people are saying right now, this should be just a straight up or down vote, a clean bill. Get this money into the hands of the people that need it.
And a standalone bill.
A standalone bill where there is nothing attached. There are no conditions or preconditions in terms of getting this thing passed. That's going to be a fight because when you come back, we're going to be after Labor Day when Congress reconvenes. They're going to have a lot on their plate, and a lot of deals are going to have to be made, and somebody's going to be sacrificed. There is no other way around that. So we just have to pretty much wait and see who's going to prioritize what. The fact that this is going to turn from a humanitarian issue to a political issue right after Labor Day, we just have to brace ourselves pretty much for the worst.
The other news that we had was President Trump talking about North Korea now stating that all options are on the table.
Except one. And I've been doing a little research on this. The one option that's not on the table for the United States, and that is standing down. Most military analysts have already determined years ago that there is no military answer to the North Korean problem. There's one word I'd like to bring up, and that's MAD, mutual assured destruction. We've been under those conditions with the Soviet Union, now Russia, for the last 40, 50 some odd years. It's worked. We have reached the point now, or let's put it this way, North Korea has reached the point now that they can't go back. They've already developed nuclear weapons. They've already developed a delivery system, as we saw yesterday when they launched one that went over Japan. Just a few modifications, and we got a major, major issue on their hands. You see, what President Trump or those who are advising him fail to realize is that North Korea needn't use a nuclear weapon in order to strike Seoul. They have enough conventional weapons to reduce Seoul to literally rubble within minutes. As I mentioned on this program before a few weeks ago when we discussed this issue, is that North Korea, Pyongyang, has held South Korea literally hostage ever since the armistice agreement was reached 60-some years ago. Mm-hmm. There is no answer to this other than the fact that we will have to just live with North Korea being a nuclear-armed nation. One of the other points that I think people need to know is that the United States has ran to the UN Security Council looking for resolutions, looking for to force China to play a more significant role. But when you look at it from North Korea's perspective, all 5 permanent members of the UN Security Council are all nuclear-armed nations. And so from North Korea's perspective, as a sovereign nation, they have a right to find ways to defend themselves by any means they deem necessary. These are concepts and positions that most of the larger countries have already established and stand firm to. The United States, but by the argument that they're making right now is that they will not allow North Korea to have nuclear arms, is almost ridiculous, because considering the fact that the United States is the only nation that's actually used them.
I got a little under a minute left. I want to make
Sure.
sure I get this question in about, we talked about Donald Trump Jr. We talked about him agreeing to have a transcribed interview with the Senate Judiciary panel. What are we to make of a transcribed interview?
Well, it's on paper, it's on record, we can see it. Whether or not this is going to be under oath, I presume it will be.
Prosecutable.
And exactly. But this is just one more drip in a bucket of issues that the president is facing with regards to the Russia investigation, because Paul Manafort is back in the news again. His legal counsel is being called to answer questions. So again, I want to make it very, very clear, despite whatever's going on moving forward, healthcare, infrastructure, tax reform, etc., the one thing that's going to be first and foremost in Donald Trump's mind is this investigation that's going on and where it's going.
Does the president's work in Houston, relief efforts, presence, will it improve, and you hate to politicize, but will this improve his political ratings and views with people?
Well, you know what? Right now we're in the early stages of this event. A lot of talk is being made, a lot of promises are being made, but we have to find out, whether or not these promises are going to be kept.
All right. Lee Bines, that's why we bring you in every week. Thanks, Lee.
My pleasure.
All right, taking a quick break. We'll be back with more show. Stay with us. Coming right back right after this.